I decided, why not? I'm going to go ahead and just start it early. We'll just get it out the way. Why not? What's going on and cousin? Yeah. Okay, I mean, if you feel that way, Seth, I'm not going to sit here and argue your takes on it, but all right. I decided, and there was a time, and I still do it from time to time, admittedly, where, we still live in this false dichotomy of left and right. And I think it is cringe, though. It is cringe in general. I think that I've done it because I my introduction to politics, as cringe as it may be. Oh, you didn't miss anything. I was gonna say is that where my introduction for a lot of politics comes from, The Daily Show with Jon Stewart, bruh, and then the other introduction was like Rush Limbaugh and people like that. So that's kind of where I see things where it's like, oh, the left and right dichotomy. So it's unfortunate, but that's where it came from. It's just kind of, I know that, where I come from in politics is not a great start, But yeah, I decided to go with the Juan Perón Avi for this time. I was like, that's a good ass picture. I'm going to go ahead and use that. I have been looking into a little bit about, Perón and Salazar. I think those are fascinating guys. Salazar obviously was in charge of Portugal from what, 1926, something like that, all the way up to 1970. I'm like, dang gum. I mean, that's longer than than a lot of Roman leaders. I mean, that's amazing. At least in my opinion. I mean, same thing. Perón. Perón had a much more mixed view, I think, and he made his mistakes. But I think in general, Perón was someone who helped to create, who helped make things better. So yeah, like I say, I mean, I think that these discussions really, that go on and all this shit happening to Caleb Maupin are pretty fucked up. I don't care who you are. I think it's messed up to continue to shit on people like him because it's like, to me, I think Caleb Maupin, regardless, I think he's a fairly intelligent chap. People can say, oh, he's a crypto fascist and all this sort of thing, but it's just, to me, that's just petty, Okay, Seth. I don't agree with your take on that, where it's just like, showing emotions all the time makes someone weak. The thing is that eventually your emotions can eat you up. I can say that because it's like, I've had moments where, yeah, I mean, my emotions have eaten me up, for things. It's just like, you got to talk to somebody about it. You can't just be an edgy dude on the internet, It's easy to do, to just be an edgy dude, but it's like, eventually you have to grow up one day, you do. And it's like, you can't just be that edgy guy, anti-SJW community that was bread tube, then rice tube. That's fair, Yeah, like I say, I mean, I think that it is a false dichotomy. And sometimes I did say the right and the left and, this and that. But I think those terms, they are ridiculous. Of course, as everyone says, is that, well, it comes from the French Revolution, where all the folks that supported, the Catholic Church and supported, the state and all that, they sat on the right side of the parliament. And all the folks that wanted, freedom, liberty and egalite and all that stuff, they saw it on the left. So that's why it's called left and right. But I think it's just so ridiculous, and there's just so much that you can go into, was Gamergate. Oh man. Left unity never happens in real life. MLs often just as harsh against soap Dems and ANCOMs as against bourgeois parties and vice versa. At least here in Sweden, yeah. Like I say, I don't know much about Sweden's history, but I imagine it's wild stuff, man. I imagine it is. It's just one of the, but yeah. One of the main things I don't know. Yeah. Left versus right is small brain understand. It really is. It really is. It really is small brain stuff, because ultimately there's a blend. there's a blend of stuff that happens. And the cat just, okay, well, that's fine. Cat just let herself in again. They keep getting up into the rafters of this utility room that we have. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. Yeah. I didn't know that much about Gamergate either, to be honest with you. I mean, I heard rumors about it, this and that, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, in terms of stuff online, I really got into YouTube from like maybe 2014 on, I want to say. I'm sorry, my cat is wilding out. She really wants to go in this utility room and play in the rafters. I'm like, no. It's, yeah. Banning boobies and video, literal fascism. Yeah, exactly. No. Hey, you. Hey, you. Knock it off. My cat is just, she's just getting real antsy. I don't know why she wants to go up there so darn bad, but yeah, it's nighttime. We're not doing that. Yeah. Hey, you. Yeah. Vichy was kind of based. The northern half was occupied. Yeah. Like I say, yeah. Doug Walker will lead the vanguard. Yeah. It's wild to think about. It's like, to me, it doesn't matter if you're left wing or right wing. I couldn't find a good segue, so this is my segue, as shit as it is. But, when we see a Palestinian boy get killed by the IDF, 13 years old, you can still say it's fucked up, When we see, I'm going to try to pronounce his name and try not to be a complete jagoff, but basically, Ali Nasser Abu Aliyah was hit during a protest against the establishment of a new settlement outpost north of Ramallah. Local residents have been holding weekly protests against the outpost 3 weeks close to the neighboring village of Kafir Malik. Resident Muhammad Abu Aliyah, a relative of the boy, told the Times of Israel. Palestinian Red Crescent reported that Ali Abu Aliyah was evacuated to hospital after being hit in his stomach and seriously wounded. Don't worry about that. That's the cat. That's the cat being wild because she can't go in the utility room. She's getting real antsy about it. Anyway, let's go ahead and finish this bit up. So the Israeli Defense Forces said that the protesters had thrown stones at soldiers, burned tires, and blocked roads. They denied using live fire, but said soldiers used riot dispersal means, including rubber-tipped bullets. It is fucked up. I don't care what you say. It is. It is. But yeah, my best memory from the early days of YouTube was watching the story of Ricky O. Oh, man, yeah. Being trolled by a kid. Yeah, I am. I'm being trolled. Hold on. Let me see if I can take care of the cat. Y'all just talk amongst yourselves for a moment. Hey, you. Hey, you. Thank you. What are you doing? Huh? You're just upset because you can't go in. She's really upset. She's as mad as heck she can't go in there. You're upset, aren't you? You're ticked off. It's dark in there. You don't need to go in there. Come on. Hey, you. Come here, you. Come here. What are you doing? Come here, you. Hey, you. Okay. Yeah. It's the right thing to do. Ooh. Oh, boy. Yes, I am. I've got one final on Monday. One final test. It's on D2L. It's not that big of a thing, but yeah. Who would win a strong test? Yeah, small hairball. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Oh, man. It's crazy to think about, isn't it? These things, but yeah. Yeah. What else can I say about that? The cat is just wilding out. She is wilding. Absolutely wilding out. Okay. She does that, though. Sometimes she does it for attention. Sorry if you get the double audio here. There we go. Let's go ahead and see here. What we got a video of. Mau Mau, huh? What else we got here? And her kitty lol, yeah. Fight off a dog and a cat, yeah. Truck with Olivier tires surprising without breaking. Okay. All right. Okay, Biggin. I mean, I don't know what to say that. All right. I mean, it's, yeah. It's all I can really say anyway. It's like, all right. Let's see what we got here. What's this? Oh, leftist unity. Okay. Oh, these are just memes. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I'm just looking at these before I. Yeah, those are pretty good though. It's a pretty good meme. Yeah, depends on the doge. Yeah. This is a video that I've been trying to send you. Oh, okay. Okay, let me check here. Let me check to see if this okay, here we go. Let me see what we got here. What's this? Hyperborea, huh? Oh, this is the train. Oh, this one. Oh, this one, huh? Okay, let's go ahead and take a look. Oh, the cat is now she's just knocking stuff over. Hold on. I will watch that video though. Your car in just a moment. Come on. You gotta go then. If you keep knocking stuff over, you gotta go. Hey, you gotta go. No. Come on. Come here. Come here. You gotta go then. You gotta go. You don't get to go in that room. No. This one keeps she keeps knocking stuff over because she's upset. She can't go. You tell me. Well, she can't. You can't go in. Joe's already accepted. He's asleep. Why can't you? I close the door then, I guess, Girly Brown. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this Huntress Thompson video. Yeah, because it's kind of oof. It's an oof. It's a real oofa video. Definitely. Oh, boy. Oh, let's do it, though, huh? All right. Yeah, Bingus, yeah. Cat moment. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Cats you don't know are scary as fuck. I used to have neighbors. Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, let's get into it. Boink. Boink. There we go. All right, let's do it. Okay, I got the mount. Yeah, I got the audio up all the way. All right, let's do it.
So I was watching Cherry Baguette's excellent video on Dutch politician Thierry Baudet, and there was mention of a phrase that Baudet.
Oh, I remember this one now. This is the whole let's shit on Dugan again. Oh, this is one of those let's shit on Dugan videos because everyone's obsessed with Dugan. All these
had used in the past.
Flirten met hele extreme ideeën. U praat over de boreale wereld. U praat over homeopathische verdunning.
And that phrase, boreal world, stuck out to me because of its similarity to a topic that I had been researching lately. I looked into it some more, and I found that Baudet had used a variant of this phrase 2 years earlier in 2017 at his party's first Congress, where he said, "Our boreal Europe," which is, again, kind of a weird phrase. The only mainstream usage of this term, boreal Europe, I could find.
Oh, this is literally conspiracy theory, right? I mean, you want to hear about conspiracy theory. This is Mud Dugan. Dugan is, like the puppet of the world. I mean, can we just agree? Can we just agree for people online to just leave Dugan alone? What sort of power does Dugan have? It's like saying, it's like trying to give Richard Spencer and to research him. It's like, bro, Richard Spencer doesn't have any real power. He has connections to people with real power, but he has no real power. You give him power.
Was in an academic sense, where it only refers to the farthest northern regions of Europe, like Scandinavia, and only in the context of climatology and plant science. And by most definitions climatologically, the Netherlands wouldn't even be considered part of this region. So I contacted Cherry Baguette, and she confirmed, yeah, this is not a commonly used phrase in the Netherlands. And she pointed me in the direction of where Baudet very likely heard this phrase from. This same phrase had been used by...
This is just gay, bro. Yeah, glory to Uncle Dugan. Yeah, it really is. Doesn't he have a movement anymore? No, he doesn't. Yeah. I mean, it's just ridiculous to think, yeah, come for your mama. It really is. I mean, it's just so ridiculous to be like, oh, Dugan's gonna come get us, Exactly. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah. I remember
others
this
in
one.
the European far right. Jean-Marie Le Pen, not to be confused with his similarly named daughter, Marine Le Pen, said in a 2015 interview, "This is why we imperatively need to get along with Russia to save Boreal Europe and the White World. Boreal Europe includes the Slavs, but also Siberia, which I fear the Russians cannot protect alone." He later defines Boreal
Once
Europe
again,
further.
Okay, I don't know about this Theory Baudet guy, but Le Pen doesn't, once again, no power. She has no power in France. I don't get this shit.
Boreal Europe. That is to say, from Brest to Vladivostok. From Brest to Vladivostok. That's another weird phrase to use.
No, it isn't. It's like from the river to the sea that Palestinians talk about. It's not weird at all. You're talking about Brest-Litovsk, all the Litovsk, to Vladivostok. It's not that controversial.
Vladivostok is often considered the furthest east major Russian settlement, but in the west, Brest isn't the furthest western point
Oh, that Brest. Okay, I'm sorry.
of Europe. So it's a seemingly odd choice.
I am retarded. I'm sorry, I'm retarded. Go ahead and you can just put L. You can just type L. That's okay. I'm an idiot. I thought it was Brest-Litovsk. Excuse me.
In actuality, it was calculated. The popularizer of that phrase, Boreal Europe, among the European neo-fascists, was a member of the 33rd Waffen Grenadier Division of the SS, known as the Charlemagne Regiment. That man, René Benet, popularized the phrase from...
If we want to think correctly, yeah, the 33rd Waffen Grenadier Division, the Charlemagne Division, that's the French division, one of the last divisions to actually be defending Berlin. Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Brest to Vladivostok, as part of a far-right ideological campaign for a single centralized European power that would at its base include France, Germany, Italy, and the USSR. The Charlemagne SS division that Benet was a member of participated in the Battle of Berlin in defense of the Führer bunker.
Yeah, I already said that. Take the L. But the thing is, though, okay, so why would a member of the SS fighting Bolshevismus, fighting the Asiatisch Bolshevismus, as Hitler said, be so concerned with Russia? I mean, to think that, once again, they claim to be, Eurasian and everything else. They don't claim to be European. And it's like, even with that, I'm gonna have to bring this up, but it's like when we were talking with Dark Sinovia, he's like, well, part of Russia is Europe, It's just like, bruh, that's a meme, though. It's just like, you can't. Go ahead.
And were among the last of the Nazi forces to surrender. These were the true believers of the Nazi...
Well, a lot of them actually left Berlin, including, I cannot think of his name, but the guy, there was like a lieutenant or something like that. He later became a mechanic and continued to live in France after he did some jail time.
Regime at the very end. Among these true believers was a man named Maurice Martin, who often went by the alias Robert Dunn. Dunn was a compatriot of René, not just within the SS Charlemagne division.
Oh yeah, I was going to say something. I had to think about it for a minute. This person is a literal Trotskyist. This Huntress X. Thompson. In their latest video, I did like a few weeks, had to be like a month ago, I think. But it's like, this person fully comes out as a Trotskyist, where it's like, yeah, we need an international revolution, bro. Yeah, absolute pure cringe. Go ahead.
But also later in the far-right political circles of France. Dunn advocated for a federation of ethnic nations that would lead to an Aryan world state. The ideas of Dunn and Benet, among others, became the backbone for an idealized European federation of nationalist states, which would cooperate on the basis of their shared, white, boreal, Aryan identity. The goal of this concept was a single contiguous state over the whole of Europe and Russia, which would serve as a world power and a homeland for the Aryan race. If this sounds similar to something that the Nazis would dream up, that's because it was literally formulated by former SS members.
Well, we just heard it. Oh my gosh!
Yeah,
we didn't see that. Yeah, we're retarded. We can't see with our own eyes. Holy shit!
Yeah, popular among the French far right, is also popular today among white nationalists across Europe, but especially in Russia. And in Russia,
You mean the white nationalists that are arrested in Russia all the time by Putin? Once again, this is something that Wignet's talked about a lot. It's like, yeah, these guys are arrested all the time in Russia because it's like, bro, you're posting cringe. We're going to have to arrest you. You know, it's just like, come on.
A widespread racially homogenous state also has a long history. In the 1920s, the newly formed Soviet Union was faced with an issue of ethnic national cohesion. One solution to this issue was that of the Eurasianists, who proposed the creation of a common ethnic substratum. Essentially an invented culture of unity that members of the...
Oh, please. Once again, Dugin has said things where he praised, I think, praised countries like, not Mozambique. Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. My mind is gone again, folks. I'm sorry. Zimbabwe. That's it. Yeah. Praise countries like Zimbabwe getting rid of white folks. Why do you think Dugin is some Wignat? He isn't. He's just some dude.
The Soviet Union would enter into in the interest of national unity. Thereby,
holy shit, this is retarded. Let me see. Yeah. Hyperborean. Yeah. I've seen the meme Hyperborean, but it's like, it's a joke. Yeah. No, Hitler wasn't a Nazi. Lamau. Yeah, exactly. Christianity is socialism in nature. How can you be a Christian and anti-socialist is beyond me? Yeah. Does this bitch know what Trotsky cooperated with the Nazis? Yeah, exactly. As far as the body count, how many Germans did the Romans ethnically cleanse? Good question. I don't know. Yeah, what I missed. Yeah, not that much. Socialism destroys culture. Yeah, exactly. Let me see. Let's see what we got here. Graphic, not racial. Yeah, it is more graphic, not racial. You're right. Let's go ahead and see this short little video. Oh, it's from Union Army. Well, okay.
Черноглазая казачка подковала мне коня, серебро с меня спросила, труд недорого ценя, как зовут тебя, молодка, а молодка говорит, имя ты твое слышишь, из которого до копыт.
It's pretty funny. Okay, let's get back to is a woman, right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, heavy quotes on that. Heavy quotes. What's this? Sterner schools, unconscious egoism. Is this the...
I'm sorry, Phoebes. I just wanted to do a good deed, like you did with the babies.
This isn't a good deed. You just want to get on TV. This is totally selfish.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. What about you having those babies for your brother? Talk about selfish.
What are you talking about?
Well, yeah, it was a really nice thing and all, but it made you feel really good, right?
Yeah, so?
Well, it made you feel good, so that makes it selfish. Look, there's no unselfish good deeds. Sorry.
Yes, there are. There are totally good deeds that are selfless.
Well, may I ask for one example?
Yeah, it's, there's... No, you may not.
That's because all people are selfish.
Are you calling me selfish?
Are you calling you people? Yeah, well, sorry to burst that bubble, Phoebes, but selfless good deeds don't exist, okay? And you know the deal on Santa Claus, right?
I'm going to find a selfless good deed. I'm going to beat you, you evil genius.
What the fuck? All right. It's interesting. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I can't find it funny. Yeah. All right, let's get back to this Feihua.
Nation would be unified under a single Eurasian identity, which would be applicable to all within the USSR. This ideology ended up having issues of its own and was ultimately unsuccessful. But the reason I bring it up is because this idea has had a modern resurgence. Neo-Eurasianism began in the era surrounding the collapse of the Soviet Union. And it took the same basic concept of a created cultural identity, but was reimagined by various groups. One major proponent and architect of Neo-Eurasianism is Putin advisor Alexander Dugin.
Putin advisor, bruh. Alexander Dugin does not have anything to do with Putin, as far as I know. He kicked him out. Look, here's a way you can tell that he's no longer a Putin advisor. Lauren frickin' Southern interviewed him. If she can interview him, then look, you can't really take him seriously if Lauren Southern is interviewing him. I'm sorry, and that's not even a complete dab on him. That's just more of a ridiculous sort of talk, like, oh yeah, he's a real guy. This guy's got clout. No.
Who stated, the ethnic or racial interpretation of events has always been one of the most forceful, hypnotic, and captivating.
I like to, yeah. Absolutiana Rodina. Who the
Dugin's Neo-Eurasianism is intentionally compatible with the ideas of Dunn and Benet, of a pan-European white nationalist state.
Please, once again, this is what happens when you read one quote of somebody and you think that they're completely like that because of one quote. It's like, come on, bruh, come on. It's like, you know what? Let me find another quote here. I want to make sure. Dugin. Let me see here. See if I can find an image of Dugin here. here's a picture with Dugin doing that, but come on. Let me find a Dugin quote. Let me see if I can find one. Yeah. Francis Parker Yockey. The American Empire should be destroyed. Huh. That's pretty based. Let's see here. An important aspect. Oh, sorry. Let's see here. I'm a supporter of blacks. White civilization, their cultural values, false. Dehumanizing model of the world built by them did not pay off. Everything goes to the beginning of the anti-white pogroms on a planetary scale. Russia was saved only by the fact that we are not pure white. Predatory multinational corporations' oppression and suppression of all others, MTV, gays, and lesbians. This is the fruit of white civilization, from which it is necessary to get rid of. So I am for reds, yellows, greens, blacks, but not for whites. I'm wholeheartedly on the side of the people of Zimbabwe. Yeah. He sure is a Wignat. I'm sure, I'm sure that he really is, compared to Hortler or any of those other guys. Yeah, right. Okay. Like I said, this is something that, big and nationalist. It really is, yeah. It's just so gay, man. It's so gay when people say dumb shit like this. It's like
there's a real practical issue of identity here, though. For example, you can't just tell a French person.
It's just lazy niggas. I'm just going to say it. It's lazy niggas who come up with these Dugin quotes and either try to make him sound like he's, literally the reincarnation of Hitler or reincarnation of Goebbels, or he's like, a reincarnation of Lenin. It's like, let it go. Golly. I mean, a lot of it has died down, admittedly. A lot of it has died down because, like, people are just but you will find retards on all these different spectrums, and they will try to make themselves seem like, oh yeah, well, Dugin is evil. Dugin is just some ordinary dude. I don't think he gives a fuck. He's just like, nigga, I don't give a fuck.
Hey, those people in Russia speaking a different language, using a different alphabet, and wearing funny hats.
With a super
they're basically
direction.
you.
Yeah.
Trust me. The Neo-Eurasianists had to construct a new identity, which would include
Joseph
all
Hitler,
of the
yeah.
different cultural and ethnic groups that they wanted in their white homeland. While Dunn and Benet relied on the Nazi ideology of Aryan unity to connect all of Europe, the whole overt Nazi connection made it difficult for that to go mainstream after the war. So let's look at how others sidestepped around the Nazi problem. One step removed from the Aryan ideology is the concept of a Proto-Indo-European race. The Proto-Indo-Europeans are a hypothetical ancient population that spoke the Proto-Indo-European language.
Yes, these are pagan LARPers. Yes, we know what that is. These are pagan LARPers who ultimately just stay in India because based Hinduism. That's all that is. I simplified it for you. What was it? About 45 seconds. That's all it is. It's pagan LARPers who end up just loving Hinduism. Hindus.
Theorized language, which is widely thought to be the common ancestor of most languages between Europe and India. This theoretical group is most commonly believed to have existed sometime between 6,000 and 8,000 years ago, in regions of the north coasts of the Black and Caspian Seas. The Proto-Indo-Europeans were first theorized in the 1800s due to similarities between certain European and Central Asian languages. In the 1900s, the theory was co-opted in the name of white ethnic nationalism, and was generally shortened from Proto-Indo-European to Aryan, from the Sanskrit meaning honorable, respectable, and noble.
Bro, once again, I mean, I've been online quite a while, but it's like, in general, people have moved on from this because, like, number one, people have caught on to it. Number two, it's gay. It's just retarded. Nobody cares about it.
It was also popularized by Helena Blavatsky as part of the Theosophical Spiritual movement
Cut
that
down
she
the tree,
co-founded,
exactly, yeah.
and has a long history with an esoteric fascism. Angie Speaks has a great video
yeah.
about
to literally
Blavatsky
drink
and her
cum.
role in
Yeah,
esoteric
exactly.
fascism that goes into that in more detail. I'll link that in the description. One point I want to cover about Blavatsky, however, is her belief in something called hyperborea. The word hyperborea originates with the ancient Greeks, with the word itself meaning beyond the north winds. For the Greeks, it was a mythical utopia without disease or old age, where the sun was always shining. Blavatsky, among others, interpreted this myth to indicate that Hyperborea existed at or around the North Pole, which some now generally discredited theories suggested had a temperate or tropical climate at the time due to the Earth having a different axial tilt. Just to clarify, even though Proto-Indo-European is a real language family and was at one point probably a real language spoken by people, none of this stuff remains widely believed by any reputable scientists today. In other words, Proto-Indo-Europeans were not a white super race that lived in a tropical Arctic wonderland. At the time, however, these ideas...
Once again, most people don't believe that. It's only Discord Spurgs or some 4chan Spurg who actually believes that. Like I say, people have, like I say, this is old shit. People really don't dig into this type of shit. You guys are like a day late and a dollar short. And I know this is 2019, but it's like, bruh, dude, nobody talks about this shit anymore. Not the same way you think it does. Even back then in 2019.
Popular. William Fairfield Warren, the first president of Boston University, wrote a book in 1885 called Paradise Found, The Cradle of the Human Race at the North Pole. In this book, as implied by the title, he suggested that ancient humans originated at the North Pole, which he believed at one point was temperate and contained the Garden of Eden, and which he believed was also known by the names Atlantis and Hyperborea. If all this sounds familiar, it's because great Pulp Fiction authors like Edgar Rice Burroughs made extensive use of these concepts in fantasy and sci-fi stories of the early 20th century.
Once again, we don't care.
We're not
gay nerds. We don't care.
Alt-right and neo-Nazi favorite Julius Evola repackaged these ideas specifically for a far-right audience.
Once again, nobody cares about Evola. Nobody. People only use that avatar to dab on people. They don't actually read Evola. Like I say, once again, this is shit people talk about like in 2017. They don't talk about it in terms like that anymore. In general, they don't.
In his book, Revolt Against the Modern World, Evola frequently uses the term boreal interchangeably with the word Aryan, both in reference to peoples descended from Hyperborean ancestors. Evola also spoke of an ancient boreal masculine civilization that was opposed by a feminine southern civilization, and he stated that mingling of these two civilizations in ancient times resulted in degeneration. Unsurprisingly, Evola's writing is well liked by our previously mentioned modern neo-Eurasianist, Alexander Dugin.
Once again, I refer back to the quote. I am a supporter of blacks. White civilization, their cultural values, false dehumanizing model of the world built by them. Just shut the hell up. Golly.
Dugan has been a key figure in the modern revival of the Hyperborean myth and its reintegration into white nationalist Aryan and Proto-Indo-European narratives. In Russia since the mid-90s, a Hyperborean origin for the Russian and Boreal peoples has been featured on TV shows and in a number of actual history textbooks which treat the idea with undue credibility. This myth has mainstream appeal due to a number of immediate issues that it solves for the Russian people.
Bruh, I'm gonna have to say this to you, and I'm not gonna just do this as some like dab on Russians or anything like that, but it's like, if California really has the 5th largest economy in the world above Russia, why do you think that they're so powerful? Why are you so worried about it? I mean, that's my view. And that's not me even, supporting Cali, but it's like, bro, what do you even, who cares? Golly.
Establishes Russia as the seat of the first white civilization, which ruled all of Europe and the regions of the former USSR. Some of these myths even go so far as to make specific claims about the accomplishments of these civilizations, including that this ancient unified civilization founded the city of Troy, established the Sumerian state, settled Italy under the name Etruscans, and even that the
Oh, yeah. I say that, boom, you saw that, yeah, she's not researching properly. The thing is that she isn't researching properly because she has someone write her scripts for her. That's why it's called Huntress and Thompson, because she's the huntress and this other dude writes the scripts and she literally just says them. She's literally the left-wing version, or, screw it. She's the Trotskyist version of, what is her name? That Soph. Remember that whole thing with Soph? It's like Soph didn't even write that shit. Her brother did. So it's like she's literally a Trotskyist Soph. That's all she is.
Civilization was the first to settle on the American continent. This ancient imagined history establishes a precedent for Russian rulership, or at least stewardship, over all the regions of the former USSR and any other European nations. It then also establishes a narrative of a simple primordial conflict, that of the white boreal north against the non-white south. This last myth especially is foundational for European white nationalists, not just those in Russia. And this theory also supports these groups in another way. It serves as a counter-narrative to the widely accepted out-of-Africa theory of human development. It revives an old idea, polygenism, which states that human beings either evolved entirely separately from an ancestor that would not be considered human, or dismisses the idea of evolution altogether, and prefers a mystical explanation.
I'm at the point, though, I don't even give a fuck where humans came from. I'm at that point. Who else is at that point where I don't even care if we came out of Russia or we came out of... I don't care. I seriously don't give a fuck where humans came from. I don't even care at this point. It's just like, I don't wonder about it. I wonder if I'm going to get enough, if I'm going to graduate college. I don't care about where humans came from. I just don't. It's just like, we was this and that. It's just gay. Yeah, modern trots turn out to be neocons alone. Yeah, exactly. We all came from God. Yeah, that's good enough for me, People's Roaster. That's as good enough as I need, yeah. Yeah. I'm worrying about my health and my future. Yep. Exactly. That's all we can worry about.
The creation of the world's various racial groups. You see from proponents of this idea the dismissal of genetic evidence that points to a single originating set of human ancestors, since that contradicts the idea of fundamental racial separateness and superiority. They say that genetic evidence is a conspiracy to try to trick them into surrendering their heritage. And as with most hateful and absurd ramblings of white nationalists, the people claimed to be responsible for this conspiracy are the Jews. That's right. Anti-Semitism also has a place within the North versus South and polar myths of the Russian white nationalists.
See, the thing is that you always say, duh, Jews, and I'm not going to go too heavy on this, but I will mention this point, and then I'll move on from it, is, will they ever talk about the Talmud in any realistic way? No. Will they ever talk about what goes on in Israel today with the idea of killing children? In general, no, they don't. They just refer to, I just don't like anti-Semitism. oh, what do you think about what's going on in Israel? Do you think that that helps to contribute to anti-Semitism? You know, they don't have an answer. You ask them about the King David Hotel bombing, or you ask about, I don't know. I mean, other historical events, which I know nothing about, but it's like they don't want to answer questions like that. So yeah, it's very one-sided. I've always thought this about, these types of folks, these kind of, let's expose the right wing, where it's just like, you seem very disingenuous when it's like you just want to go on about white nationalism, this and that, but it's like they don't want to go on and on about, about if any of this may be true. There may be a grain of truth in some of these things. Not to say I'm sitting here believing it, but I'm saying is that why don't you look into them? But you don't want to because you just want to dab on Wignats, which is pretty easy to do. It's just, yeah. 50-50 false dichotomy. That's fair, Officer Chunk. Yeah, USS Liberty. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm not even going to go on and on about it because I know that it is just Wignatism if I promote that, but it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous, yeah. The only good thing they ever did.
Their belief is that in ancient times, the Semitic peoples waged war against the polar ancestors with help from the global south, and that in defeat, the Boreal civilization was collapsed, scattered, and obscured from its descendants. Basically, they think Lord of the Rings is real, and they're all Aragorn. And with that mythical backing, the Russian nationalists see themselves as the saviors of white Europe against the encroachment of the global south supported by a vast Jewish conspiracy. These ideas have found fertile ground in the various European nationalist movements that have arisen over the last 5 years, as we can see from their reuse of anti-Semitic conspiracy theories that
You know why that's ridiculous? Once again, doesn't say any specific group. But let's see here. I want to see this because, yeah, AFD, Germany. I want to see that I know that there, yeah. It's 2019. But I have seen AFD German leaders. I think there's like a, oh, wait. I'm really trying to see because I think that maybe I'm wrong, but yeah. Who voted for Erdogan are like AFD. What is this gay shit? All right. I was like, okay, I swear that there was like an Arabic or some sort of who was part of the AFD. So I was just like, how was this?
Jewish forces within the EU are forcing migration from the global south as some kind of destructive
RT. They really hate RT, don't they? Once again, this kind of feeds into the whole narrative that, yes. Hold on. All right, go ahead. All right, let's go ahead and do this. But what I was going to say, though, is that they will pretty much take up the I know this has been overused, but they will take up the mainstream media's talking points and just say, oh, well, anti-Semitism is on the rise, this and that, and, RT is awful, it's fascist propaganda and everything else. But it's like, but the only way that they're different is it's like, but we don't want to invade anybody. We don't want to, invade Russia or anything like that. We don't want to do that. We don't want to invade China. We just want them to have socialism. That's the only difference. And it's very disgusting, in my opinion. But that's just how these folks are.
act upon Europe. This myth allows for similar explanations for basically everything the far right doesn't like.
That is true, Officer Chunk. That is absolutely true. It's funny to me is that they will criticize people like Caleb Maupin and endlessly try to, shit on him. And then they'll still, exactly. George Galloway's on there too. That is true. I was going to say is that Richard Wolff is on RT. And they love Richard Wolff. They love to hear from Richard Wolff because he promotes the idea of mug co-ops. because he promotes mug co-ops, they suddenly love him like, oh, Dr. Wolf is so great. Oh, it's just ridiculous. It's just like he's on RT too, but you don't shame him for that. It's, yeah, hypocrisy. You find a lot of malaria. Yeah.
Like, feminism and LGBTQ rights, by the rules of this myth, are a degeneration of the natural masculine order spoken of by Evola. In this way, the myth is highly adaptable in its use against anything outside of the bounds of a traditional.
Once again, the idea that LGBTQ stuff and, gay rights. The thing is that plenty of these dudes are gay. How many gay pagans will you find? It's like there are plenty of dudes who will be like, oh, well, I support the white race, but I'm a gay dude, this and that. It's like, you won't find that shit. So please don't, just think that, they're so mean to the LGBTQ. No. Behind closed doors, there's plenty of gayness. This is why Maxim Gorky wrote what he wrote. Come on, man. Go ahead.
White, patriarchal organization of society.
White patriarchal. Oh. You are throwing stones at ghosts. That's all you're doing. Ghosts that don't even exist. But go ahead.
And with all of that in mind, let's consider this rhetoric in action today. I think the most essential truth that not many people have spoken before me is that we as Dutch people have the right to be proud of our nation. All our political positions follow from that. Limiting immigration, smaller government, a European Union not interfering in our national matters, being proud of our history again, maintaining our own language at universities, not transferring money from the north to the south of Europe for sins of guilt or other feelings that we do not have the right to exist anymore. So, I think the fundamental truth that I tell people is we have a right to exist, to be proud of our country and defend it. The so-called ideology of human rights inherently refuses to recognize any kind of collective identity, including that of nationality and citizenship. Hence, we see provoked and uncontrolled migration, refugees, European self-hatred. The EU will necessarily continue the same politics of immigration, promoting transgenderism, transhumanism,
that's why he said he didn't like white people, because they help promote transgenderism, which, honestly, I used to try to be like, no, it's not. But I think Alexander Dugin is correct. Yeah, down with white people. Might as well at this point.
Modernity and so on. Though Dugin is admired by and publicly supports many European far-right groups, such as Jobbik in Hungary, AfD in Germany, and the Freedom Party of Austria, among others, there are also clear indications of direct, covert cooperation between Dugin and other groups like these. Matteo Salvini, current Italian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of the Interior, is a strong supporter of Russia and a far-right Eurosceptic.
He also gets support from Israel, too, so I don't really know what you're talking about. So when you say anti-Semitism, they promote that, but yet he supports Israel? Give me a break.
Salvini's longtime aide, Gianluca Savoini, claims to have known Alexander Dugin for over 20 years.
Let me go ahead and pause this, just in case that y'all don't believe me. Hold on, sorry. Says he'd move. Okay, here we go. January 19th from this year, Times of Israel. Strong supporter of Russia. And of course, as we know, Dugin has also been to Israel and that as well. But yeah, in an interview with Israeli Daily, head of the popular right-wing Eurosceptic party lashes the left for what he says is anti-Israel and anti-Semitic bias. Yeah, Mabase Salvini, right? Mabase Salvini. He'd move embassy to Jerusalem if elected. Mabase Salvini, right? I defend the borders, security, and dignity of my country, and I'm proud of that. He accused the Italian left, as it does in the United States and Israel, of seeking revenge in the courts after losing in the ballot box. Okay. Israel Hayom, which has largely backed Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's accusations of attempted coup, were caused by his rivals. Asked by journalist Eldad Beck if Italy under him would recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, Salvini replied, yes, certainly. Moving an embassy to Jerusalem is welcome in Israel, but often criticized abroad. Israel claims all of Jerusalem as its capital, while Palestinians view East Jerusalem as the capital of their future state. It's almost like they're all full of shit. We need DPRK to bring death to... Yeah. Flirting with the idea of Spanish Commonwealth. It's just ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, it's just, yeah. There already is imperialism, and fascism is just plain ridiculous. Yeah. Go ahead.
In February of this year, one of Italy's most prominent newspapers, L'Espresso, published an investigation linking Gianluca Salvini to a Russian deal to finance Matteo Salvini's party, the Northern League, via a secretive oil deal. And Dugin has appeared as a guest of honor at a Northern League meeting in 2015, where his speech was preceded by the playing of the Russian national anthem in his honor. In a 2015 Facebook post following a speech by the President of Italy, Sergio Mattarella, Matteo Salvini posted this image of himself with the comment, "I would give 2 Mattarella in exchange for half of Putin." Emmanuel Leroy, one of Marine Le Pen's closest advisors and speechwriters, who has also used the phrase "from Brest to Vladivostok" and who is a supporter of Russia and Dugin, likely helped to write this section of a speech by Marine Le Pen in 2009. To rely on Russia today...
Please. Okay, here's the thing, is that what people need to realize is that politics is a constantly shifting goalpost game. That's all it is. Is that politicians and, folks online don't give a shit about what people are supposed to think. They don't care. It's like, yeah, but, it's like Salvini can say something positive about Putin and they will also support Israel. He's a politician. He doesn't give a shit. Same thing with Marine Le Pen. Oh my gosh, back in 2009. That's like a lifetime in politics. That's like 2 or 3 lifetimes. This was made in 2019. It's like, bro, you know how much people shift and change and wax and wane and they eventually just give up on narratives and they just find the next talking point?
Is to create the true European space from the Atlantic to the Urals. A Europe comprising nations pursuing their national interests and linked within a shared civilization. Very different from the American ultra-liberal communitarian model toward which the European Union is driving us. And Christian Boucher, an officer from Marine Le Pen's party.
Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah, Le Pen is an opportunist. Her party is centrist now. Yeah, exactly. I mean, people just think somehow that politics, it's all just, some, huge, it stays in the same place all the time. And, it's just gay.
We usually address some of the Western...
Oh, this guy again. Yeah, I've seen this guy. Meh. How the Netherlands supports radical groups in Syria. Yeah. Man, with this guy. I've seen this guy before. He's okay, I guess, but I'm just so on him. Okay, let's go back to this.
Party from 2008 to 2015, and also the publisher of many of Alexander Dugin's writings, has echoed a similar sentiment. Eurasia would be the natural evolution from a successful European federation, the stage after the Paris-Berlin-Moscow axis. But it is also, and we should keep this to ourselves, an essential component of our esotericism, the Third Rome, the union of East and West, and so on. On June 13th, 2019, following the European parliamentary elections, Marine Le Pen announced the formation of a new far-right coalition within the European Parliament, named Identity and Democracy. This coalition includes Matteo Salvini as a member, and is now the 5th largest coalition within the EU, with about 10% of all EU Parliament members. And so while some on the European far right are in favor of removing their nations from the EU, many, including Dugin and Bannon, are in favor of a realignment of the EU towards...
Bannon is a LARPer. Bannon was kicked out pretty fucking soon. Steve Bannon was kicked out. He was talking about cutting people's heads off, during the the Trump recount and all this other stuff. Nobody cares about this guy. People will still be willing to give him money, but still, to think that once again, you're giving morons money and you're giving them attention, acting like they're some, doing 4D chess. No, they're just retards.
Reactionary nationalism. In this goal, we can see a Europe that the neo-Eurasianists and the French Aryan nationalists would be quite pleased by. A Europe defined by a homogeneous racial makeup and an enforced return of traditional lifestyles. Politics today is moving in the direction of liberation. European managers can't stop this process. They can only continue.
That's true.
More immigrants,
yeah.
More feminism,
true.
More open society,
yeah.
More gender.
Mm-hmm.
This line is unquestioned for the European elite. They can't change course, but the more time passes, the more people disagree with this. In response to this arises the reaction.
Well, I don't believe with that. More people disagree. No, a lot of people have just bent over and took it, really. But yeah.
Gaining momentum in Europe, and that the elite want to stop by her demonization. Reality ceases to conform to their project. Russia must save Europe from the liberal elite that are destroying it. We, Russians, are the heirs of the Roman, Greek, Byzantine tradition.
This is literally like we was Romans and shit. We was Greeks and shit. We was Byzantines and shit. This just sounds like LARPing. Like I said, it sounds like Alexander Dugin goes back and forth. He knows Russians aren't going to do anything.
We remain true to the spirit of the ancient European Christianity, which has lost all ties with this tradition. Russia can be a fulcrum to restore.
He's just saying this to get LARP money. That's all he's doing. He just wants to get money. He wants to pay, he wants to pay for his, I don't know, whatever sandwich he's going to get. It's like, dude, why do you give people the, golly, you're just full of shit.
For Europe. We Russians are more European than the Europeans themselves. We are Christians,
yep, politics is again,
heirs
right.
of the Greek philosophy. In 2016, Russian-born Ukrainian political analyst Vladimir Kornilov campaigned against the Dutch referendum on the establishment of a trade association agreement between the EU and Ukraine. Though Kornilov has denied political or financial links to Russia.
Oh, that's hilarious. That is hilarious where they want to bring up Ukraine. And yet, these same people will talk all this shit about Russia. Will you hear them say one word about Ukraine? Will they talk 1 minute about the Azov battalion? Or the fact that both the United States and Israel are giving money and weapons to the Azov battalion and the rest of the Ukrops? No, they won't mention a word about this. Like I say, you can say what you will about, Novorossiya and the Donetsk People's Republic and the Lugansk People's Republic, but it's like, bro, it's all bullshit.
Leaked emails reveal contacts between him and Russian officials, including Alexander Dugin. At that time, he contacted various Dutch politicians and officials to try to pressure them into opposing the referendum. Among the groups contacted was the right-wing think tank turned political party, Forum for Democracy. And the head of that think tank at the time, and now the head of that party, is none other than Thierry Baudet, the man at the beginning of all of this. Baudet was outspoken in his opposition to the EU-Ukraine referendum, posting sensationalist anti-Ukraine fake news stories originating from Russian state-controlled media.
Well, screw Ukraine, frankly. It's just like, no, Ukraine is in an awful, awful place. Their country is completely controlled. It's like, yeah, there are people who can be free to do what they want, but in general, it's a horrible mess. That a lot of their economy has been privatized, or a lot of their services have been privatized. You have what's his name? I can't even think of the name. Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, making deals with Turkey. Their country's in shambles, absolute shambles. It's just like, what are you even saying? It's like, oh, there's all this anti-Ukrainian stuff. No, I feel sorry for Ukraine. I feel sorry for them. Because they are run by just horrible, corrupt gangsters. I'm just going to say it.
Yeah. Since the referendum, Baudet has remained a strong supporter of Russia, continuing to parrot Russian state media on a variety of issues like immigration and George Soros. I feel the need to clarify something here. I am not claiming in any way that Russia...
Well, that's fair. All right, let me back up here. Yeah. Why you gotta say you crop? Okay, yeah. Why you gotta say you crop? The nationalists don't have any real power. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough, Temujin. Yeah. It is true, though. Yeah, the nationalists don't have any real power. It's still all oligarchs. That's fair. All right. I'll back up off that. Sorry, I was listening to too much Russell Bentley. Y'all know who Russell Bentley is, right? That Texan who went to the Donetsk People's Republic and apparently fought with them for a bit. And now, of course, he's, some LARPer who, yeah, Jorge Soros. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, that's what I meant. So apologies for that. I'm sorry. I listened to too much of LARPers like Russell Bentley, who will spend the rest of their lives in Donetsk, in the Donetsk People's Republic in I can't think of which city, but anyway, yeah, go ahead.
Via state actors is exporting white nationalism and spreading it to these various countries. Instead, I believe that a coordinated subsection of the European white nationalist movement, which has been present for many years in each of these countries, are now coordinating to cultivate a shared ideological language. In doing so, they have adopted many of the positions proposed by Dugin, likely out of convenience or necessity. Russia happens to have a well-defined mythos and strategy for white nationalist propaganda that uses a shared understanding of whiteness that can be embraced and expressed by any white European. I want to clarify this to avoid the impression that I'm a Louise Mensch type jumping at Russian shadows. Or that I believe this is all solely a Russian state propaganda operation. Though I believe that Russian state propaganda has been used by this movement, I would be extremely surprised if Putin believed in any of this esoteric stuff. But the thing is, Dugin's dreams for Europe don't require true believers in order to come true. For an upstart reactionary that just wants...
I doubt even Dugin gives a shit about what he says. I doubt he does. I think he just says it, like I say, to be an edgy boy. That's all he is. He's just an edgy dude who says edgy shit. I mean, why do you guys give people like this so much power? Why do you give so much credibility to people like this? Why? It's the same thing where it's like you give, all these folks that research the far right, you give them power. Why do you give people like David Duke power? Just ignore him. If you ignore goobers like him, you would, if you... And like I say, I know people say, you can't just ignore them, you have to fight them. But it's like, bruh, David Duke is on BitChute. He's not even allowed on YouTube. All right? It's like, and even then, it's going to be these LARPers that don't, it's just, why do you give them power? Why?
Political power by any means. All this stuff is an easy and effective template for success in the European far right, especially if they are willing to make the right allies and use the right dog whistles. Baudet certainly knows the right dog whistles, and as far as the right allies, in addition to knowing Vladimir Kornilov, Baudet met with Dugin at the G10 Economic and Philosophical Summit in March of 2017, shortly after Baudet's party, the FVD, won their first 2 representative seats in the 2017 Dutch general elections. The next day, the two met and spoke for hours regarding the EU and the impending end of liberalism. In March of 2019, the FVD won the most Dutch representative seats of any one party, and in an interview, Dugin described his reaction to this news as great joy and great enthusiasm. He then went on to describe Baudet, one of the most intellectual thinkers I have ever met, a completely original and independent man, a rising star. He has a fantastic style, very classic, very attractive. I love the dandyism of Thierry Baudet. And if Baudet was just a Dutch nationalist...
That just sounds gay. We don't care.
...that only cared about his country's people, then some of his actions don't make much sense. In May of 2019, in a televised debate with the current Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Mark Rutte, Thierry Baudet voiced his support for Russia's explanation for the destruction of Malaysian Airlines Flight 17 in 2015. against the prevailing conclusions of the International Joint Investigation Team, which concluded that the plane was shot down by Russian forces. The destruction of the plane resulted in the deaths of 298 people, 196 of whom were Dutch. Baudet experienced considerable backlash within the Netherlands for these statements. And so, like Salvini in Italy, Le Pen in France, and Trump in the US, we can see right-wing nationalists publicly supporting Russia and Russian interests.
I cannot wait. I cannot wait until Joe Biden. It's like, I remember I saw a clip. Like I said, once again, you can take me for being cringe for saying this, but it's like even with Joe Biden stepping into office in memeology, it was just like a video where he says, they'll probably, say that I have dementia and I'll step down in 6 months. And that's probably what's going to happen. He's probably going to be president for 6 months. And then they're just going to say, yeah, he has dementia. And he's going to step down. And Kamala Harris is going to be the one that takes over. That's probably what's going to happen. And, and then everyone's just going to be like, yes, queen, we've got our first black president. Ooh. And then you get idiots like Vosh who just think, oh, wow, well, we need more, diversification. We need more, representation. We don't care. If there's shit people, individual shit people, not race, I'm being very careful here, but people like Kamala Harris, who have arrested thousands of black folks, who has, gone back and forth on her political views. But of course, people, it's just another version of liberalism. It really is. But yeah, she's saying Noswells are Wignets. Basically, yeah. If you go full on Wignet, you will not get anywhere. Exactly. Yeah. One of the most stupid things. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. It's almost over. Libs know. Yeah. Yeah, pro-Russian dudes in Azov too. Oh, really? That's some crazy shit. Like I said, I don't know all the details of it, but yeah, both sides have conflicting ideologies fighting side by side. I saw a video of an anarchist that was fighting with Azov because he didn't want to join the military. Holy shit, that's crazy. Like I say, yeah, Jared Taylor went to the DPR for a Russian Wignet conference back in 2017. Oh, really? See, it's just wild how politics are and just, how people think they can benefit. It's crazy to think about, Yeah, it's just ridiculous, Let me see what we got here. It's almost over, folks. It's almost over.
Even when it's not obviously politically convenient. If you didn't know any better, you might think, like a lot of American Democrats seem to lately, that Russia had something on these people, or was otherwise coercing them into these positions that seemed contrary to their nationalist populism. But once you look at things in a wider context, you can see that no compromat is required to explain the actions and motivations of these nationalists.
All right, give me a moment, folks. Sorry if y'all heard that. Just had to take a whiz. Okay, let's get back into it.
Because ultimately, they're boreal nationalists. They're already on the same team.
Just the most ridiculous, retarded shit I've ever heard.
All that well, but, well, maybe you can learn.
Right, Kami. You're so smart. I'll do whatever you say.
And come, I think we are going to be good friends.
Uh-oh. Do we want to... Nobody wants to see... Hold on, I just want to make sure. Nobody wants to see J-Reg, right? Everybody hates J-Reg. Do we all hate J-Reg in this chat? I just want to make sure here. Life is a bro moment. It really is. It's a series of bro moments. Yeah. Spooky, scary, Eurasianist. Yeah, exactly. But everybody hates J-Reg. I just want to make sure here. Yeah, I'll just wait. Yeah. Right-wing nationalists. Yeah, exactly. No J-Reg. I thought so. Yeah. Everybody thinks J-Reg is cringe, right? Yeah. No J-Reg. Okay, I thought so. I just want to make sure here. Yep, no J-Rig. All right. J-Rig is centrist. Yeah, he is. J-Rig is, yeah, down with him. Yeah, exactly. Oh, my goodness. Let's do some, yeah. We've been going for quite a while, haven't we? Oh, yeah, we've been going for about an hour and 11 minutes. So let's see if we can smooth this out a little bit. I've seen pure white angels before. I actually like J-Rig. Oh, bruh. Bruh, what's going on, Seth? You actually like J-Rig. What's happening to you? Oh, man. Okay. Let's find something positive, shall we? Let's do a palate cleanser as you do. Let's see here. What sort of palate cleanser will we have? Any thoughts? Let me see here. Oh, here's a video. Boom, to debunk the whole fascism is capitalism and decay. Oh yeah. I think I've seen that one before, but yeah. Let me see what we got here. Seth moment. Yeah, exactly. Oh, let me see. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make y'all watch the J-Rig. I know. Everybody hates J-Rig. Oh, I got one. We can do. Let's go ahead and debunk. Let's go ahead and well, not debunk, but let's see here. Step back history has got 2 videos on the far right. And yeah, let's go ahead and see that. I mean, this guy is just such a cringe goober anyway, this guy. The Army of Hate. Here we go. When white supremacists declared war on America. Okay.
This is the story of what happened. Until this point in 1983, the far right more acted as vigilante actors on behalf of the state rather than people trying to oppose it. The Klan in coastal Texas, the neo-Nazis in Greensboro, and the long history of vigilante action, lynching, were all sort of done as an idea of enforcing the law or enforcing the rules of the state.
Yeah.
Sometimes they found themselves at odds with the state. The Klan, for example, in the South during the Civil Rights Movement, were trying to stop the enforcement of America's laws. But by and large, even when they had disagreements, there was not an idea that they needed to overthrow the federal government. That was until a meeting which occurred in the summer of 1983. The new right was coming to power. In America, Ronald Reagan was president now and was starting to round out his first term. The new right had sort of come to power on this wave of anti-statism. Government is the problem, not the solution. But now the mainstream right betrayed that by becoming the establishment. They were in power now. They were the government. And yet the white ethno-state wasn't being made. What's up with that? So some people...
Yeah. People thought that in 2016 too. What else is new?
Came to the conclusion that there was no way, peacefully anyway, for their political goals to come to fruition.
It is pure fantasy to imagine the Klan as a broad-based political movement that will obtain the numbers requisite to effect peaceful political change.
And to discuss this new direction, this revolutionary change within the white power movement, we will have to go to a very important meeting which occurred in rural Idaho in 1983. This event was called the Aryan Nations World Congress. It's not the first one. It wasn't the last one, but this one was very pivotal. The Aryan Nations World Congress was something between a far-right racist political rally, a hardcore evangelical church service, and a camping trip. People played volleyball, people set up tents, young men and young women met each other. There were speeches from white supremacists from around the globe. And in one inconspicuous house, there
sounds like American Renaissance. So
was a heavily guarded, heavily secret meeting. So much so that the details of the meeting don't really come through. Nobody who has been in the meeting itself has been arrested, or if they have been, they haven't spilled their
sounds like the Bilderbergs. Go ahead.
Their guts over what happened. But reportedly, this was the meeting in which leaders from neo-Nazis, the Ku Klux Klan, and various far-right militias around the country decided to talk about revolution, specifically revolution against the American federal government, which they've now defined as the Zionist occupational government. which you'll probably often hear in far-right internet spaces, by the acronym ZOG. And in this moment, they decided that their plan was to overthrow the American federal government, or at least wait for it to collapse in nuclear
Let's go ahead and
fire.
skip to this bullshit.
They
There we go.
had this idea in the back of their head to try and build this white homeland that they might be able to secede through, is the whitest part of the United States, which is the Pacific Northwest. A lot of these militia movements set up shop in places like Oregon, Washington, and Idaho. This is why there's still a lot of white supremacist activism in these states to this day. And bringing these people together, living in rural compounds, sticking with each other, created relationships, communities, even families. In an attempt to grow the white race, they even condoned polygamy, to create as many children around all of these weapons of war as possible. And the principle that...
What? Nigga, what do you care? You live in Canada, fool.
This organization was built under was something called leaderless
Northwest Front
resistance.
Pill. Exactly,
You've probably heard of this before, cell-style organizing, where multiple groups are not directly communicating with each other, but are focused on a single goal. The reason you probably heard of this is because this is actually a common technique that a lot of communist guerrillas have used around the world. Because if there's one thing I'm learning about white supremacists and the far right is that they don't have great imagination, so they love to steal ideas from the far left. And one of the
yeah. We've heard this all the time, and yet, guess what? People put, is that they put in more effort and are actually successful versus the cringe lords. I'm just gonna have the fan on. It's too damn cold.
Was a man named Louis Beam, who, if you remember from my previous video on the subject, was a Klan leader who brought his military training from Vietnam home with him, and in a one-man crusade to convert the far right into a army, a militia, brought a lot of his training to the white supremacist world. The idea was they were going to set up 600 or so of these militia cells that would be scattered around the country, usually in pretty remote areas. The idea behind this, because it was the 80s, to locate them in places where they'd be hard to get to and far enough away from population centers that they would be out of the range of atomic weapons from the Soviet Union if the Cold War ever went nuclear. Because they knew that they couldn't just overthrow the American military with, 600 cells. So what they decided to do was train, destabilize, try to create the conditions.
Have they talked about Robert Matthews yet? Because I'm sure that's coming in this one. Exactly. Return to Monkey. Might as well, yeah. Canada's one of the most cut countries. Exactly. Motherfucker only focus. That's the whole thing, yeah. I've never tried boiled eggs. Not really my thing, though. It looks like one of my boss, yeah.
For societal collapse. And then when something happens, like the federal government falls apart, or the Cold War goes hot and the United States gets nuked, that they could then activate and try to fight their war and set up their white ethno-state in the chaos. Of course, this post-apocalyptic idea was sidelined after the Cold War was over, and instead their focus became entirely on federal tyranny.
Would-be island. Oh, okay. Yeah, they're going to finish with Robert Matthews in. Let's go ahead and get to the Robert Matthews stuff. Because I don't give a shit about what they say about Turner Diaries. I don't care about what they say with earlier computer networks. Let's go ahead and listen to this.
5. The problem, though, is that these computers and this network were really expensive. So the white power movement needed lots and lots of money, because not only are computers and networks expensive, but so are guns, bullets, Rottweilers, all the things you need to maintain a hate group ready to tear down the federal government in order to install a white supremacist utopia. And the ways...
Well, once again, I thought you hated capitalism, though. So if you want to get rid of the United States, what are you talking about? If you're a true accelerationist, or if you don't even give a shit, if you hate capitalism, who cares who brings it down? As long as they bring it down so that you can, install your own government, then who cares? If you're an ML, you should like that. If you're an anarchist, as this guy is, then you should do that. But once again, this guy is an anarchist in name only. He's more of a he's an intellectual anarchist. He's not really the anarchist type to dress in black bloc and be out there,
They decided to do that was basically through crimes. the main way that they would launder money so that, the prying eye of the FBI would not get involved was that one of the common organizations in the white power movement were Christian identity churches. I have mentioned Christian identity before on Step Back in my hate groups video. The TLDW version of what Christian identity is it's sort of branch of hardcore evangelical Christianity that focuses on white supremacy and anti-Semitism. And fairly often, these Christian identity churches are highly involved with the white power movement, and to the point where they were literally laundering money for the movement via donations. A common recruiting ground.
I have not seen that. Skeptical Manus, I have not seen that. So they were arresting folks that were connected with the Shining Path? Huh. Just seems kind of, yeah, he's an armchair anarchist. He really is. Yeah, I didn't know that, huh? So they arrested a lot of folks in Peru about it, huh? It just seems kind of weird, because I know, what's his name is still in jail, right? He's still alive? What's his name? They also do this with India and Naxals, for example. Oh, really? Huh. Didn't the Norman government and the FARC declare a ceasefire? I think, yeah, I forget. I'll go ahead and let y'all talk about it, though. I was just noticing the chat. Go ahead.
For the white power movement was the prison population. The 1980s, the prison industrial complex is getting going in a real big way. And so there's tons and tons of prisoners in these prisons. And a lot of these people, when they come out, are going to have no prospects for the future. So if you can go in there and say, hey, I'm going to protect you, give you resources, and all you need to do is be more and more sympathetic to white supremacist ideas, you're going to do pretty well. And so the white power movement either created or became associated with the Aryan Brotherhood, which is a prison gang that continues to exist to this day. They'd recruit white prisoners who would not only be in prison helping raise money to donate to those churches.
Has he talked about David Lane? He probably did, but I didn't care.
But at the same time, when
David Lane is the guy who created the idea of 1488, by the way. Go ahead.
they got out of prison, they would then funnel right into these white power cells, because when you get out of prison, there's not a whole lot of prospects for you. It's not really easy to get a job or, make any progress in your life. And
golly, I love the smarmy. I love the smart. He's just like, well, if you've been to jail, then you don't get a job. Just the smarm, huh? What a smarmy guy. Go ahead.
these white power people would welcome them with open arms. The main ways that the white power movement raised money was through counterfeiting, the printing of fake money. They also liked doing this because they felt like it undermined the Federal Reserve and the sort of federal government's monetary system. It was almost an act of economic sabotage, and at the same time, they got to make cash.
Yeah.
Another thing they did...
DPRK did it too. So did, Colombia as well, I believe. But yeah, a lot of countries did.
It was just straight up robbery. They would rob banks, they would rob armored cars and walk away with...
You're not going to... the Brinks robbery. Yeah. Up there in Washington State. Yeah. We know.
Absurd amounts of money. Through their hyper-moralistic lens, they could justify robbing banks and armored cars as...
Hey, be careful. Stalin robbed banks too. Be careful on that.
Is, just saying that, the banks are owned by bracket them, so it's perfectly...
Nobody uses brackets in 2020, bro. Nobody in their right mind, other than ironically, uses the brackets, But it's like, still, is he defending the state? I don't really get this. He's like, are you defending banks and all that? Are you really defending that? I thought you're an anarchist.
Fine. Another way that the leaderless organization could work is that the uniform was standardized, but also you didn't need to buy anything fancy. Getting a clan robe, while I've never done so myself, is probably an involved process. But to join the white power movement, for example, one terrorist group called the Order, you could buy everything you needed for their uniform at like a department store, sort of similar to the uniform style of the Proud Boys. Isn't that a weird coincidence? And
we don't really care. Once again, the Proud Boy... Go ahead.
Top of crimes for profit, they would also try to do random acts of violence. One of the more high-profile crimes the white power movement committed...
Allenberg. Yeah, the Allenberg shooting in Colorado. Basically, he was more of a liberal sort of radio show host who David Lane and his boys tried to troll and they got tired of him. So outside of his house, they shot him with a suppressed MAC-10.
In the 1980s was the murder of Alan Berg, who was a Jewish liberal radio host in 1984. There was also a famous bombing of the Embassy Theater, which was a Seattle pornography theater. You know, random
Based. Get rid of porn. Yeah. Once again, I'm sure that you're one of these sex positive folks, so don't care, bro.
Stochastic terrorism like that. But one of the more important...
Stochastic. I'm so sick of stochastic terrorism. I'm so sick of that gay-ass term. The thing is, you would do stochastic terrorism as well if you had the chance. Go ahead.
Flashpoints to identify where this movement was and where things were going happened in 1984 in a place called Whidbey Island. So before they were thoroughly infiltrated, the FBI and the ATF and...
So hold on. I love how he admits that the feds have infiltrated all these Wignac groups. I'm so glad that he admits that. But yeah, I mean, you know, go ahead. I just love it. Go ahead.
Secret Service, because of the counterfeiting, were pretty involved in trying to take down the white power movement. And through an FBI informant, they were able to find the location of Robert J. Matthews. Matthews himself was a neo-Nazi, and when the FBI went to arrest him, he managed to shoot his way out of an arrest. While escaping, notably not shooting the white FBI officers, as per the instructions of the Turner Diaries. His escape led to a manhunt in which he made his way toward one of their safe houses, which was located on Whidbey Island. The government eventually found this house, and when
Set it on
they
fire.
finally arrived, it led to a 36-hour standoff between Matthews and over 100 federal agents. Several agents attempted a raid in which they burst through the bottom floor. Matthews went up to the top floor, and in order to give the agents some vision, a helicopter above dropped a few flares down so that, you know, that they could see. The house, though, was filled with explosives, and these flares set off some sort of cache of explosives. Not exactly sure what happened, but the house went up in a huge fireball. The agents were able to escape, but Matthews was killed. And from that point onwards, Matthews became a martyr.
Give me a minute, folks. All right, give me a lemon.
No,
All right. I think he's ready.
you didn't scratch.
Okay. Well, let's finish this up.
To the white power movement, to the point where members of the movement even made annual pilgrimages to the place where he died. Federal organizations tried several attempts to arrest high-profile members of groups of the order.
Popcorn!
Some of them were arrested and got some very severe sentences. They were never able to really contain the growth of these organizations. Try as they might, they were never able to recover all of the money stolen. And these organizations continued to grow their war chest and recruit new members. And while law enforcement knew this was a large and collected organization, journalists and the public at large would treat each of these crimes as unconnected lone wolves. But you know, that seems kind of familiar, doesn't it? Instead of seeing the white power movement committing acts of terrorism, they would see each of these crimes as just, you know, errant madmen. And the state was fundamentally unable to stop this organization based on a desire for ethnic cleansing and genocide and a strict racial hierarchy from growing. And so this is just the beginning. Shit. If you're interested in how this...
Oh, boo-hoo. Give me a break, bro. This type of rad libs is basically just capitalism with moral restrictions. Yeah, it really is, yeah. Yeah, it's just ridiculous, but yeah. Okay. Apparently, I have to make some popcorn for my mom. That's just how it is, unfortunately. So, I'll go ahead and leave it there. I'll go ahead and play the outro, and I think we'll call it good. So, if you want to enjoy some popcorn for yourself after this stream, you may do that. But yeah, I think we'll keep it there. So, we'll go ahead and play the outro, and we'll see ourselves out. So, I hope wherever you are, you have a good day or a good night. And goodbye.